unfortunately, we weren't able to get technology to work with us. And with Dr. Rubino, it wasn't working with his camera. We're going to be doing this with a photo of Dr. Rubino. But regardless, the information that you're going to get is really going to be absolutely brilliant. So Dr. Rubino, can you explain how low self-esteem can affect an entrepreneur or a business owner in their day-to-day activities?
Well, sure, I'd be happy to. You know, early on in life, we make something up about ourselves, or we buy into the negativity of another person. And whether it is that we fabricated and made something up that doesn't support us about who we are, that's insignificant or defective or unlovable or not good enough in some way, or we bought into someone else's negative opinion, the end result is still the same. We tend to invalidate ourselves. And moving forward, we scan for evidence that says that we're somehow not good enough, unworthy, unlovable. So when we're in business, it can affect us in one of two typical ways. Either it has us play small so that we're afraid to risk because we can't be with the thought that we might be a failure, we might not be liked by others, we might be whatever that is we made up about ourselves early on in life that we can't be with. So what we do is we avoid risk. We play small. We don't do those things that will move our business or our lives forward because we can't be with the possibility of not succeeding. The other way that it can affect the typical business person is that one who has low self-esteem is typically on rails to prove that they're good enough, to prove that they are worthy or effective or they belong or they're lovable. And so what they do is they over-excel, they overachieve. They try their hardest to show that they are, in fact, what they can't be with, which is unlovable, defective, not good enough in some way. So they go out of their way to do the best they possibly can in order to prove to the world that they belong, that they're up to par, that they're perfect in some way, which of course we never can be, we can never achieve.
No, we can't.
So in either sense, it invalidates the person, and there's no lack of there's no peace in that scenario because we're always trying to prove something that's unattainable.
Okay. Now, if I could go back, because you talked about something that was quite interesting and quite important. You talked about the fact that low self-esteem can actually cause us to play small. And I think if we could go back onto that, simply because I think a lot of people have the aspiration of growing their business. But if low self-esteem is actually causing you to play small, that would actually go against you being able to grow your business.
Well, it absolutely does, because when we can't risk is an essential component of progress. You know, the old cliche says you can't steal second with one foot on first base. And it's true. So that the business person who can't be with the possibility of not succeeding is always looking at, well, what happens if I don't succeed? And that person has an expectation of failure, a fear of failure. And so what happens is that fear becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because the person ends up self-sabotaging. They end up manifesting the very thing that they fear the most because they can't be with the things that would support their success. They don't have a positive expectation. They don't have the self-motivation that where they see their success as inevitable, so they don't achieve that success inevitably. And it all brings them back to the status quo where they end up quitting, they end up resigning themselves to, that's just the way it is and that's just the way I am, and there's not a whole lot I can do about it.
Wow. So all this sort of talk, because in many ways it's sort of the talk that we have in our head, where does that start? Where does low self-esteem originate?
Well, it originates when we're a young child, typically before the age of 6. And what happens is we either buy into or we make up something about ourselves that says that we're defective in some way, we're not perfect, and we make something up about others, about other people. They're a certain way that doesn't coincide with harmony as far as living with them, and we make something up about the world in general. Maybe the world's a harsh place or an unforgiving place or a place of scarcity. And so we find that we are at odds with getting the things that we want: rich relationships, fulfillment, great work that is rewarding.